I just made a buttload of a boatload. What's a buttload? What is a buttload? You know what? I don't want to know. I'm going with boatload. I made a boatload. That's my train of thought after that adventure. So I made a bunch of dandelion jelly out of dandelion tea, which is supposed to be a good prepper skill because you're taking weeds and turning it into people call poor man's honey. But I'm not sure that I'm going to add this to my prepper skill set list that I recommend to people because the math, it really doesn't save, and it's really not saving much money in my opinion. Let me just kind of show you how I did it really quick and then you can decide if it's worth your time and money. I think if you do the math, you might find that it's the same amount of money as just buying a jar of jam or jelly. Step 1 is to collect a bunch of dandelion heads from an area that hasn't been treated with weed killer or any other yard chemicals. Next, you separate the petals and you can kind of just pinch and roll the green part and then pluck them off pretty easily. It does stain your fingers and your fingernails though. Rinse these really well, get out any bugs or little eggs that are in there. I just used a fine mesh strainer to do this. So next, I wanted to do this the quick way, not the overnight way. So I put these in a pot of boiling water and just kind of kept it at a boil for, I don't know, probably 30, 45 minutes until that water started getting darker and darker. Otherwise, you can just pour boiling water over them and let them seep overnight. They're just at like a really light simmer here. And I kept stirring it and checking on it and lifting up the water to see how well it was doing. This is technically the part where you're making dandelion tea. After the water or the tea was dark enough for my liking, which the darker it is, the more benefits, nutrients, and flavor it has, I used a stainless steel mesh strainer to strain it and then went through a cheesecloth after that. I let it sit for a couple of minutes just because it was way too hot to squeeze out, but then I did squeeze it really well through the cheesecloth to get as much of that liquid out of there as possible. No, I have no idea what to do with this leftover bit of newborn baby turd. So I guess just compost it. If you know what to do with it, let us know in the comments. After this, you need to add as much pectin as you need according to how much liquid you have. So you might need to pour it out in order to know how many boxes of pectin and measure it. I think it's like 3 cups of liquid for 1 box of pectin. Definitely read the box and double check that. The pectin is $4 a box, which is kind of where I lost interest in this project. Also, I don't even like dandelion jelly, but my husband does. It seemed like a fun new thing to learn, so here I am making the yucky jelly. If you want these to be shelf stable and you don't want to have to refrigerate them, you're going to have to water bath can them. Hot liquid into hot jars, leave a 1/4 inch of headspace at the top, wipe the rims with a damp cloth, clean lid, rings fingertip tight, back into hot liquid. Make sure there's a couple of inches of water above your jars. Bring to a rolling boil for 10 minutes. Let them cool in the water for probably 5 or 10 minutes before you remove them, and make sure that when you do remove them, you put them on a towel so that the glasses don't crack on the cold countertop. Let them sit and seal. I guess don't touch them while they're cooling. At least I wouldn't. Just let the pectin do its thing. And finally, make sure your 2-year-old is throwing a temper tantrum in the background while you open the jar to show people what it looks like. Go ahead and let me know if you think this tastes like honey. Kind of just tastes like sugar to me.